Hi, I'm back. It's me. Hi, my name's Lo. This type of video format went over surprisingly well last time, and it's not like I have less things to say. Quite frankly, you guys have now validated my yapping, and I think that this is great, because that means that I can continue doing it. So, like I said, my name's Lo. It's very nice to meet you. I will be the host for the foreseeable next. I am guessing this is going to be like 45 minutes or something crazy like that. This is a sketchbook and yap session, which is a video where I have footage of me drawing in the background, but more importantly, I get to talk. My voice is my own favorite sound. I love hearing myself talk. I'm so funny and so smart. This kind of works like a podcast. This is like a sketchbook hangout session. It is highly encouraged that if you are a creative person, and even if you're not a creative person, you pull out paper and pen and you doodle and sketch along with me. It is like a little hangout. But I get to talk and you don't. You are, however, allowed to leave comments. That is also highly encouraged. Leave comments. The topics, you'll find out. It's not like I have like an overall running thing that keeps everything together. It kind of is the opposite. There is no correlation. There is no correlation at all. Or there is a correlation, but it is not very obvious to you. It just, my mind ran with it. So we will work our way down the bullet list that I've compiled in the past, 10 days? I have made lists for 2 videos in 10 days. I have so many things to say and not enough friends to tell them to. So, the first one is a little story that happened to me a couple of weeks ago when I was on the bus. I was heading back from a therapist appointment, so, you know that weird feeling when you're going back like into public after a therapist appointment, like, what the fuck was that? I was on the bus on my way back from a therapist appointment, and it was traffic. There was traffic going on. So I want you to imagine me. I'm sitting on the bus, window seat, right side of the bus, approximately, like, kind of right behind the middle door of the bus. We are driving, and we stop because it is, in fact, traffic. And right next to me on the right are street parking. And there's a car there with a lovely little yellow parking ticket just stuck to the front windshield. As we are standing still in traffic, a lady walks up and takes the parking ticket and looks at it. And then she looks up and makes eye contact with me. And I just kind of shrug, and then the bus starts moving. I want so bad to know what texts she sent to her friends after that happening. Like, some girl just shrugged at me after I got a parking ticket, and then she left. I wasn't ready to be in that situation. I was minding my own business on the bus. It was just happenstance that she looked up at the moment and we made eye contact. And for some reason, I felt like I needed to let her know, like, yeah, I mean, what can you do? I mentioned last time that I have been working on a television show. We have wrapped said television show. We filmed the finale a couple of days ago. So I will no longer be sleeping in strange hotel beds. Unfortunately, I'm so sorry for everyone who was riveted by that saga. No more hotel beds for me in the foreseeable future. But because we had to travel for the production, everyone on the crew gets kind of uncomfortably close very quickly, because you are spending a lot of time with these people. You are sleeping in the same hotels, you are traveling together, you are eating together, you are working together, you are... We know so many things about each other for someone. a month ago, I did not know like half of these people at all. Didn't know they existed. And then during one of the dinners, which was like episode 6 of 8, so we have gotten, over halfway, we are having dinner. We have done the rig. We spent, the past 8 hours rigging up everything for tomorrow's shoot. And we are having dinner together at a restaurant, a Greek restaurant. Once again, I'm trying to immerse you into the atmosphere and the setting that we are in. Greek restaurant. And we are just jabbing. We are just jabbing and yapping and joking around. And I don't know how we got onto the topic. And I don't know exactly what was said. But somehow, for some reason, one person says, I might need to talk to your mum about that. Or something in that sense. I blacked out because that does give me the chance to say, my mum's dead. I think my exact words were, I think that's going to be difficult. Right next to me, to my left, is my best friend sitting. As this lady says, I might need to talk to your mum, I kind of slow turn towards her in a, did you see that? Did you see the opening I just got? And I said, that's going to be difficult. My mum's dead. And she goes, oh, no. Like you do when you think you've offended someone with a dead mum. And I look at her, and in my mind, I'm thinking, you know what? Let's light this fire. And I go, you want me to make you feel worse? My dad's dead too. I did have to, the next day, actually confirm that both my parents are indeed dead. That was not just like a joke that I pulled out of my arse. Very strange joke, if I did. I do have 2 dead parents. I love to make jokes about my dead parents. Some people, very angry when I make dead parents jokes. You are so fortunate that I am not making jokes about your dead parents. They are, in fact, my dead parents. Your dead parents, they're safe. For now, but they're safe. Anyways, how do you guys feel about politics? We all know that is a very safe and not polarizing topic at all, famously. I very much pay a lot more attention to American politics than my own local politics, just because no matter what happens in Norwegian politics, I'm not like scared that someone's going to press the big red button, I'm not like, well, that's it then. But Donald Trump's running for president of arguably most powerful country in the world. Not a huge fan of that, to be honest. So I'll watch debates and I'll watch commentary about American politics. And what is baffling, it just blows my mind every time. Because countries that are like continuously ranked as the best countries in the world, just like economically to live in for like humanity, are, surprise, surprise, left-leaning countries. It is so fun to see Americans in comment sections on social media call the Democratic Party in America far left. Because I don't know how much you guys know about Norwegian politics. We do not have a 2-party state. God bless. That is the most insane thing I've ever heard. Like, you're like, oh, well, these are the 2 options you have. Why the fuck did you do that? Are you insane? We have several parties on kind of a line. You have the left and the right. And what is also very fun in Norway is that it is, in fact, the opposite colours. So the right-leaning parties in Norway are the blue, and the left is the red. So first time I think I saw someone go, vote blue, and I went, oh no. And then I was like, oh, right, that's the Democrats. Correct. If I was to place the American Democratic Party on the Norwegian politics line, on a good day, they're close to the like Labour Party, and that is when they are being reasonable. And then to the left of the Norwegian Labour Party, there's like a gazillion others. The Labour Party is like slightly left-leaning from the middle. I cannot stress how weird it is to see democratic policies being paraded around as like radical left-leaning politics. I get it. You did vote Donald Trump in once, so your views kind of skewed, but come on, people. Come on. Last video, I also read to you. I confessed that I have, in fact, downloaded Hinge. I have not deleted the app. I've put my profile on pause because I cannot do this. My mental health can't handle it. But I did last time read out a couple of responses from Hinge, and I figured, you know what? Let's continue. Let's do that again. So, going to my chat with my aforementioned best friend, who has since apologized for convincing me to download Hinge, because she does receive every single horrid prompt response that I have found. Let's see. Here we go. Going into the chat, we have found the archives. We have someone who, like, frankly, I know I can't, like, properly describe him to you. I know I can't show photos. Have you guys heard of 𝐬𝐭𝐨𝐫𝐞? He made these dolls. Google it. He looks like a kind of 𝐬𝐭𝐴 doll. And his prompt, and he chose the prompt, do you agree or disagree that woke culture has gone too far? And I went, this is where we started, because this was like the first half hour after I downloaded the app. I'm like, this is the cream of the crop, is it? He also says that the simple joys in life is just to laugh. Sure thing. That is okay. Then we have someone who says, I love almost everything between heaven and earth is interesting if we are able to see it through a human lens. Shut the fuck up. Oh my god, this guy is insufferable at parties. Like, he gets 3 drinks in him, and he's mansplaining Barbie. Then there's one that I was just personally offended by, because sometimes Hinge lets you know that this is a great match. We think you two should meet. And sometimes they show you profiles that are so heinous, telling you that you two are going to be a great match, that you start questioning your self-worth. So they show me a guy. His first photo is him smoking. If you smoke, I'm not going to say great for you, because it's not. And I'm pretty sure I have it in my profile, like, as one of the deal breakers that I'm not dating anyone who smokes. So his first photo being him smoking, not a great start. Then he says, I'd like to remind everyone, you are choosing these prompts. He says, my greatest strength is I'm really good at reading people. Give me 15 minutes and I'll be able to tell you who you are in many facets of your life. I've yet to see this fail. Please tell me this is a joke. And if it is, you're gonna have to put like a little tone indicator here. Because, like, a little /J. Because I cannot. I do fear. Because I've met too many men. I've met too many men, period. But I've met too many men for me to believe that this is a joke. And then, you know, just to spare everyone, we'll end on this one. My life motto is, what shouldn't we do? A lot of things. And then we'll end on a guy who very much would like everyone to know that he has a boat. First prompt. This year, I'd really like to sail around the world. Then, second prompt. Together we could sail on my boat. All right. The dude has a boating license, and he's really trying to get his money's worth. Okay, so I don't know how good you guys are with the celebrities. I'm really, really bad with celebrities. And that is not, I know that sounds like something someone would say to brag. That is not a good thing in my world because, reminder, again, I work in television. I have, on several occasions, had no idea who I'm talking to. I don't know who these people are. I don't know what they're famous for. Sometimes I'll be like, I know I've seen your face somewhere. But a majority of the time, no idea who they are. Which does save me from getting starstruck. But it is very uncomfortable when you have to Google who the main talent is. One time, a few years ago, I was working in sport, which you're allowed, I'll give you a second to laugh. We're back, and I was told, hey, could you go get the guest? He's going to go, he's in the lobby, could you just go get him? I was working with football mainly, so I was like, okay, so there's a guest host for the evening program. Go up. There's one guy standing in the lobby, luckily, so I didn't have to like figure out who I was looking for, but I just went, hi, you trying to get down to yada yada. I'm not trying to dox myself, and I'm also not trying to stop myself from getting jobs in the future. But I go, hey, let's go. And I take him down to the waiting area, and I realize like this guy has got to be famous because he is, a guest celebrity on this talk show. But I don't know who he is. So I proceed to Google Norwegian famous footballers. And as I'm sitting just across the table from this guy, I am scrolling through images and looking up and down, trying to do it secretly, trying to figure out who this guy is. He was one of the most famous footballers in the country. We're not talking like Haaland or Ødegaard level, but he very famous, very, very famous. And I kind of went, oh, well, I know I've heard the name before. No idea how he looked. I'm waiting for the moment where it like really, really bites me in the ass. But the consequences have yet to be dire enough where I am willing to like study Norwegian celebrities. I will let you know when the inevitable moment where because usually, the thing is, usually people are polite enough to like introduce themselves. So you learn their names. But I don't know what you're famous for. I'm sorry. I've been listening to a podcast. I am a fiend for podcasts. I love podcasts. Podcasts in my heart. I have actually had to cut down on some of the podcasts that I listen to because they are very quickly gathering up. I am so behind on listening to podcasts. So I've unsubscribed to a few podcasts, but I started subscribing to a podcast called Welcome to Night Vale. I've heard of it before. I know that I've like seen it around. People mentioning Welcome to Night Vale. I was also a Tumblr kid in the mid 2010s. So, it's not surprising that I've heard of Welcome to Night Vale. If you don't know what Welcome to Night Vale is, it is a podcast in the format of like an evening radio show in a place called Night Vale, which is very absurd. It is a very absurd place. It is in the middle of nowhere and everyone's weird. And what makes this podcast so great is because, the voice, the person who has the voice, the main voice, very soothing. I like listening to a couple of episodes of Welcome to Night Vale before I go to sleep. Very relaxing voice. You also kind of giggle a little bit because some of the quotes they say, very funny. And it's just updating you about the news. I remember when I started listening to it, like episode 1, I'm pretty sure it was like, well, don't look at the dog park. You're not supposed to look at the dog park. You don't know about the dog park and never talk about the dog park. And I was like, what is happening? And then it just keeps going and you're like, oh, this is what it is. This absurdist, we are very casual about things that in a normal circumstance should not be casual, but it's obviously like this is not a real, regular. Everything's weird, all right? One of my favorite quotes currently is the laws of physics. What are you, a knock? I'm also very intrigued about the library story. Here's a quote about the library. Remember, if confronted by a librarian while looking for a book to check out, do not attempt to escape by climbing a tree. There are no trees in the library. And the precious moments it will take you to look around and realize this will allow the librarian to strike. So if you'd like to listen to Welcome to Night Vale, highly encourage it. They're very short episodes, like half an hour about. And also you get a little music part every time, because that is, in fact, the weather report. Every time there's a weather report, the weather report is a song. And sometimes the songs are really, really good. Other than listening to Welcome to Night Vale, I picked up Sweet Home Season 2. Sweet Home is a Korean show, and I watched Sweet Home Season 1 when it first came out like a couple of years ago, and I really liked it back then. And then Season 2 came out and never got around to watching it, and then Season 3 came out and I was like, alright, chill. So here's a spoiler alert if you're like very highly attached to not knowing what happens in Sweet Home. Skip, I guess, to the next part. But Sweet Home is set in Seoul, and monsters. People are turning into monsters. It's like, I love zombie shows, and which is interesting because I'm not usually like a huge fan of science fiction. Cannot be bothered. I do not care about aliens. Hi, sorry, I'm back. Felt like I was going to cough up a lung there, and figured I'd save you the whole hockety yuck thing. As I was saying, I don't care about aliens. If a show is about aliens, logging out. I like sci-fi if it's zombies. I want to see the world end. I want to see zombies. I've watched all of The Walking Dead. I love zombie shows. Love zombie shows so much. What I don't like about, end of the world television, and this is not like a new hot take. You do not need to get your pen and paper out for this one and take notes. It is as funny every single time how everyone has shaved armpits and straight white teeth. Are you trying to tell me that as you're getting away from possibly being eaten alive, you're stopping by a Boots to get some razors? And in Sweet Home, main character, the actor is named Song Kang, and he is estimating in every third Netflix show that is made in Korea. He's everywhere. I don't know what he has on whoever runs Netflix Korea, but that it's gonna be good blackmail material, because he's never gonna be without a job as long as Netflix Korea keeps going. He is everywhere. And Song Kang has the straightest, whitest teeth in the universe. Every time I see him open his mouth in this show, I giggle, because they are so straight and so white. And we are now, I don't know, at least a year into a monster apocalypse. Him being part monster, by the way, and he still has... looks like he's being sponsored by Colgate. The monsters in the show are animated for obvious reasons. I don't blame anyone for not doing practical effects with that, all right? I do blame people when they don't do practical effects with zombies, because that is inherently, like, the base of a zombie is a human, all right? You can put someone in prosthetics. figure it out. I don't care if you have to animate their legs out. You can do that. You do not need to chop someone's legs off. That is a bit too far. But do not animate zombies. Come on. Get it together. But, you know, obviously I will accept the fact that the giant sentient eyeball is animated. But sometimes the animations are... And I know that I am sitting on a very high horse, as if I can do any better. But sometimes I look at the animations and I go, oh, that's bad. That's bad. Like, I'm obviously not an animator, but I don't think they're supposed to look like that. There's something about certain animations when they just look too sharp. They look too sharp and too shiny. And very just malplaced. And I know that you know what I am talking about. Moving on to other television shows that have some, like, bad elements, bad CGI, bad animations, yada, yada, yada. I'm furious about this. Before I start talking about CSI, I will mention that I am furious because I don't know how many seasons in. I got several seasons into the regular CSI, and then they took it off the fucking streaming platform I was watching it on. So I started watching CSI Las Vegas. And then the motherfuckers took CSI Las Vegas off the streaming platform as well. What, are you kidding? When I was a child, I was obsessed with CSI. Does explain a lot about me as a person in my adulthood, that I was so obsessed with horror films and like crime shows. And you can say a lot of bad things about my mum, and trust me, I have said so many bad things about my mum, but one of the things that she did correct was like, okay, you can watch CSI, but you can't watch all of CSI because you are 10. So I had to pick one CSI that I could watch. The original is CSI. The original CSI is CSI Las Vegas. It's just called CSI. And then you have CSI Miami, which has the, you know the intro. There's CSI New York. And I'm sure there's other spin-offs, but those are like the three main that I can remember from when I was a kid. My favorite was CSI Miami when I was younger, so I chose to follow CSI Miami. This has nothing to do with the original bullet point that we are working on currently. What I wanted to say is, because CSI is so old, and this is not, I'm not doing like a your mama joke, but for CSI is from like 2003 or something. See, CSI Vegas started in 2000, alright? The Twin Towers was still standing, and we had just realized that the world was not ending just because we were moving into the 21st century, alright? There's a lot of things that have changed since then. But because it is from 2000, some of the, things, the graphics and the green screen especially, it is something strangely comforting in watching an old television show where the masking and green screen around certain objects is just objectively bad. I remember this one scene where they had these flies, like either flying around or walking on their body, but it was like the same flies doing the same movements. It was because they had just copy and pasted the same fly. And this is like one. This is a giant television show. Also, when there are times where they've had they have shots of the crime happening, and for very obvious reasons, you can't actually show the crime happening. So, you CGI, yada, yada, yada. Especially if they are doing something where someone is falling out of a building off a bridge, anything like that, like a high long fall, I ask you to pause it and just look at what we're working with. Maybe go frame by frame at it for it is top 10 entertainment. It is so funny. Other than CSI and their questionable green screen and masking abilities, at least in the earlier seasons, I will let you guys know if I find out somewhere where I can continue to watch CSI. I'm kind of petty about it. I'm kind of angry that I didn't get to finish. Let's see. I'm gonna see. I keep track of all the television shows I watch. Let's see where I ended, and if anyone has any good tips, thank you. I'll take them. Let's see. I got to CSI. I got to season 7, episode 22, Leapin' Lizards, and that's when they took it off the streaming platform. I also got to CSI Miami season 2, episode 20, before they took that away from me as well. Other than CSI, I am a huge lover. I know you can't see it. I am doing a little heart with my hands, a little hand heart. Huge lover of Criminal Minds. I love Criminal Minds. I love getting TikToks about Criminal Minds. I love watching recap videos about Criminal Minds. I have watched all of Criminal Minds. I have watched so much of regular Criminal Minds that I ended up having to watch Criminal Minds, like the international version. They made a 2-season spin-off international version where they are traveling just around the world, solving crimes in Criminal Minds version, you know. I've seen everything, all right? I do have some strong opinions about the little twist we took during Corona and the COVID break, because the Criminal Minds that came back after COVID was not the Criminal Minds that I know and love. That was something different. That was a different show entirely. We are somehow suddenly all buddy with a serial killer. We're like the mystery gang from Scooby-Doo, except Scooby-Doo is a horrific serial killer that we are taking with us, and we have banter with him. Don't know what that's about, and I fear that it will never be explained. But in one episode of Criminal Minds that really, really comes to mind, and I can't tell you which one it is, but if you have seen it, if you know, maybe if I find it, I will try to Google. If I find it, I will put it in the description, perhaps even the comment section. But there's one scene where this person, I don't know how YouTube's going to feel about this word, decapitates people. And he has heads in glasses. And when you look at the heads in these jars, they look like someone took a 2D picture, or someone scanned someone's face, stretched it out on a 2D piece of paper, and then folded it so that it would fit into the jar. It kind of looks like a bad sim. It looks like a bad kind of pixelated sim. I can't explain it to you other than it looks wrong. The proportions are wrong. It's off. It is not a regular head. That is a 2D picture of a head that is just kind of turned into a spherical shape. And then the final bullet point on the bad things in all television show bullet note, we are moving away from crime shows into paranormal, and we are doing Ghost Whisperer. I don't know if you guys have the same relationship with Ghost Whisperer like I do. I'm going to have to start rewatching it. I watched one episode, and then I decided to watch Criminal Minds instead, but I know that I am going to have to watch all of Ghost Whisperer. I had a very strange relationship with that show. I loved it so much when I was young. I was like 10. When did Ghost Whisperer come out? There's an insane amount of Googling on this on this show. This show being my YouTube video. Came out in 2005, so I was 7 years old when it came out. And I have like very strong memories of watching this show. I was a huge fan of Jennifer Love Hewitt, who plays the main character. I was obsessed with the name Melinda for a very long time when I was watching the show, because that was the character's name. That show had an impact on me, that a television show about a lady who sees dead people should not have on a child. There is a fight that happens. There's a fight that breaks out, and we cut from a close-up to a wide shot of the fight happening. And when you cut to the wide shot, you can see the other photographer. You can see the other camera guy who is filming the close-up. This is not a reality show. This is not a show where something happens once and then you're done. This is a scripted show. You are able to do retakes. You do not need to keep the shot of the camera guy in the final edit. There are also times where you can see the shadow of the boom mic that they are holding. You can see the shadow of the boom mic on the ground behind the actors, which once again, this is a scripted television show. You don't get the privilege of messy reality television mistakes. As someone who works in reality television, we are allowed to have certain things that look janky because it is reality television. You don't get to do that. For the love of God, reshoot. If your photographer is in the shot, just straight up next to the actors, do a retake. Do a retake. I feel like I'm gonna pop a blood vessel. And then we are closing. We are getting towards the end. Don't worry. But because I was so obsessed with Ghost Whisperer, I had an alarm on my phone. I had 2 alarms on my phone for 2 different television shows that I watched when I was a kid. The first one was for Ghost Whisperer, and the second one was for a show that in Norwegian is called Babylånerne, which directly translates to like borrowing babies. It was, and tell me if this is a fever dream. I can't find it, okay? I keep trying to like Google it. I can't find it, but it was these people who wanted children. They were like, we're ready to have kids. And then they like every week they get a new, first they get like a baby, like a newborn baby, a baby. And then the next week they get a toddler, and then they get, like a, 7-year-old, then they get a 12-year-old, a teenager, yada, 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 moving on. That was the show. I was obsessed with that show. If you know anything about it, let me know, because I am starting to think it is like a Mandela effect that I have just made this up. The 2 alarms. I promise this is the final story. Those 2 alarms on my phone. One time, I was in the theater, and we're not talking a movie theater. I was in the theater, because I had a friend at the time, my best friend when I was a kid. She had a lot of like extracurriculars, and she did dance, and she and her like dance thing, they were doing something in the theater, and I was there to watch her dance. I was like 9 at the time. And I'm pretty sure I turned my phone off, not knowing that on my old Sony Ericsson phone, alarms would ring even though the phone was turned off. I'm in a quiet theater. This is the 3rd time I am immersing you in the setting. I am in a quiet theater, sitting next to my best friend's mum, and from my bag, I'm going to step away from the mic, and I'm going to let you know, because I recorded the alarm sound myself. I will let you know. I will translate it so that you get the full effect in English of the alarm. Moving away from the mic now, imagine this coming from a 9-year-old's bag in a quiet theater. The baby borrowers are starting now! I recorded that myself on my phone, yelling into the phone. It was just going on repeat. It was like the feeling that you have in a dream when you keep running but you don't move. I was like scrambling to get into my bag to turn this phone off in this quiet theater, and it just kept going, the baby borrowers are starting now. And that was the beginning of my villain arc, if anyone was wondering. Oh, wasn't that fun? I've, full disclosure, we are now at 53 minutes and 47 seconds. So, you know, I'm guessing 40 minutes about this entire video is going to be. I hope you've enjoyed spending the past time hour with me. I'm not redoing that. I'm keeping that in. My name's Lo. If you'd like to keep up with me, when I'm not actively talking into the microphone, I have other social media. I'm at Lonely Girl Studios on Instagram. And other than that, I guess I'll continue to see if I can find The Baby Borrowers, the television show, just to prove to myself that it wasn't something that I've made up. Good night.